Hello Saints, welcome in for another midweek video. I was thinking today, maybe a few days, about the somewhat familiar story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. At a later date, in some form, whether I don't know if it'll be written or spoken, I'm going to deal with this in more detail. Suffice it to say that when these four young men were captured by the king of Babylon and brought to Babylon in captivity. Their name was Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, all names that referenced God, all names that had parts of God's name in them. And Nebuchadnezzar chose, or actually the chief of the eunuchs of Nebuchadnezzar chose to rename these. And Daniel was called Belteshazzar, Hananiah was Shadrach, Mishael was Meshach, and Azariah was Abednego. Now, these are four names that reference their false gods. And I'm not going to get into detail there, but just to understand that they were their names were changed. Now, in the book of Daniel, we still have Daniel most of the time referred to as Daniel, rather than Belteshazzar, but the other three carry the names throughout the book. Nebuchadnezzar had a dream he couldn't interpret. His seers couldn't interpret. Daniel did. And again, this is the Reader's Digest version. But the beginning of that interpretation was that there was this huge statue, and this statue had a head of gold. And then he says to Nebuchadnezzar, he said, that statue is you because you are the king. And he even said this to him, you are this head of gold. Now, Brother Charles Simpson used to like to say that when Daniel said to Nebuchadnezzar, you are the head of gold, he never heard anything else. Not one word did he hear Daniel say after the fact, because in chapter 3, we see Nebuchadnezzar building a 90-foot image of gold. That's all he heard, was he was the gold. And he decided that everyone should bow down to this image, thus bowing down to him. And not everybody went along with it. And of course, these three guys, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, would not bow to this image. And so the king heard of it, and he said, anyone who just does not bow down is going to be thrown into the furnace. And so he confronted these guys, and he said to them, is it true that you do not serve my gods or worship the image which I've set up, which is really him? And he said, I'm going to give you one more chance. When you hear the sound, you bow down and you worship. And these three guys said to the king, O King Nebuchadnezzar, we have no need to answer you in this manner. In other words, it's already settled. There's nothing left to be said. And they said to him, if it be so, our God, whom we serve, is able to deliver us from the furnace of blazing fire, and he will deliver us out of your hand, O king. But then they said this, but even if he does not, let it be known to you, O king, that we are not going to serve your gods or worship the golden image that you have set up. We know the story. The king was angry, and he said, well, into the furnace you go. And he said, turn the furnace up 7 times hotter than it's ever been. And he ordered some guys to take these 3 young men and throw them into this furnace. The furnace was so hot that the men who threw them in perished. They were burned alive and died. And in the furnace they go, but Nebuchadnezzar looks in there into the furnace, and he sees something odd. He sees that they're walking around. Not only are they walking around, but he sees there's not 3 of them in there, but there's 4. And he says the 4th one looks like the Son of God, or a son of God. What in the world is going on? So he calls to the three young men to come out of the fire. They do. Their clothes are not singed. Their hair is not singed. They have no smell of smoke. The ropes, the bindings that they had on, they burned up, but not the boys. And of course, they were set free. They were delivered. I saw a church marquee recently that said, fear says, what if? Fear says, what if? But faith and trust, and I'm adding some here, faith and trust say, even if. And I want to give you a gift today. And the gift today is even if. Regardless of what you're going through, regardless of what you will go through, you could be fearful. You could let fear grip you and wring your hands and say, what if? What if this happens? What if that doesn't happen? What if they don't come through? What if they don't do what they said they would do? But you could also adopt this attitude that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego had. Our God can deliver us. Our God is capable of delivering us. But even if he doesn't, we're still going to serve him. This will give you peace. This will get you through so many circumstances. This will get you through so many difficulties. Because if you can say, God is capable of doing this the way I think he ought to do it or the way I think he will do it, but at the end of the day, even if he does not, I'm still going to worship him. I pray that we're far beyond our praise and allegiance and devotion to God, far beyond that being due to what he does for us and to us. But we worship him, we honor him, and we're devoted to him, not because of what he can do for us, but because of who he is. Because he's who he is, and because he's our God, we can expect him to bless, he's to help us, and in many cases to deliver us from circumstances. But even if he doesn't, and if you and I will adopt the same attitude as Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, now in their case, they were delivered out of the furnace. And as a matter of fact, it caused Nebuchadnezzar to say, wait a minute, now this God, that's their God, we need to consider. We need to pay attention to who this is. As a matter of fact, he went the other direction. Anybody that belittles their God has got a problem with me. Fear says, what if? Faith and trust says, even if. Our natural inclination is the what if. Our natural inclination is to say, well, man, what if that doesn't come through? What if the paycheck is not there? What if the diagnosis is wrong? What if it's not what I expected? I mean, we do that constantly. We wring our hands and we fret. But your faith and trust, and I added the word trust, your trust in God causes you to say, even if. For even if he delivers us, or even if he does not deliver us, we still worship him. We still praise him. We still honor him. We're still devoted to him. So I just wanted to say to you today that you can win in any situation you find yourself with an even if attitude. If you will adopt an even if attitude, there is nothing, no situation that can defeat you, that can ruin you, and that can set you aside. Because God wins and you win either way. Now go out there and act like somebody. Good day.